Nothing says marital bliss like finding your wife's lipstick on another man's coffee cup. I'm Ethan Rourke, 37 years old, and I've been fixing things my whole life. Broken pipes, cracked foundations, shattered windows. Turns out, I can't fix a broken marriage. "Honey, I'll be working late again tonight," Harper called from the bathroom, her voice echoing off the marble tiles I'd installed myself. "Big presentation tomorrow." I tightened the loose cabinet hinge in our kitchen, the same cabinet I'd built when we moved into this Dallas suburb 5 years ago. Back when Harper still kissed me goodbye instead of checking her phone while rushing out the door. "Third time this week," I muttered, testing the cabinet door. Perfect alignment, unlike my life. Harper emerged in a black dress that cost more than my monthly truck payment. Marketing executives apparently needed to look like they stepped off magazine covers, even for late meetings. Her blonde hair was styled in loose waves, and she wore the perfume I'd given her for our anniversary. The same perfume I'd smelled on Chase Collins' shirt last weekend at the neighborhood barbecue. Chase Collins, our so-called family friend, fitness influencer with a penthouse downtown and abs that belonged on billboards. The kind of guy who called everyone bro and posted shirtless selfies with motivational quotes about grinding and winning. "You look nice for a work meeting," I said, not looking up from my toolbox. "Presentation to potential clients. Image matters, Ethan. You wouldn't understand." There it was, the subtle dig at my blue-collar existence. I understood plenty, like how her client meetings always happened when Chase posted Instagram stories from expensive restaurants. My phone buzzed. Text message from an unknown number. I opened it and nearly dropped my wrench. A selfie of Harper and Chase in bed, her head on his chest, both of them grinning. The caption read, "Some trust, some don't. Thanks for being so understanding, hubby." My hands shook as I stared at the screen. The bedroom in the photo wasn't ours. It had floor-to-ceiling windows and modern furniture. Chase's penthouse. "Everything okay?" Harper asked, applying lipstick in the hallway mirror. "Just peachy." I held up my phone. "Want to explain this?" Harper glanced at the screen and her face went pale for exactly 2 seconds before she shrugged. "Oh, that. Look, Ethan, we need to talk when I get home. This marriage isn't working for me anymore." "This marriage isn't working?" I stood up, my voice rising. "You're cheating with Chase, and our marriage isn't working for you? Don't be so dramatic. Chase and I have a connection. You've been distant, focused on your little construction projects. I need someone who understands ambition. I built this house for you. Every room, every detail. And it's lovely, really. But I need more than a handyman, Ethan. I need a partner who can match my energy, my drive." She checked her reflection one more time. "Chase gets that. Where's Maddie in all this?" "She's at Mom's for the week, remember? Which gives us time to figure things out like adults. Our 11-year-old daughter safely away from this disaster. Thank God for small mercies." Harper grabbed her purse. "I'll be home late. We'll talk tomorrow." "Will you? Or will you be too busy taking selfies with your boyfriend?" She paused at the door. "Ethan, you can either accept this new arrangement or make things difficult. Your choice. But I'm not giving up Chase." The door slammed behind her, leaving me alone with my tools and my rage. I called my buddy Nate, who owned the local gym where I worked out most mornings. Real gym, not like the bougie fitness center where Chase filmed his workout videos. "She actually sent you a photo?" Nate's voice crackled through the phone. "From his bed. With a message thanking me for being understanding. That's cold, man. Even for Harper. I don't know what to do, Nate. Part of me wants to pack her bags and throw them on the lawn. What's stopping you? Maddie? And honestly, I want them to pay for this. Really pay. Careful, Ethan. Don't do anything stupid." "Oh, I won't do anything stupid. But I might do something smart." After hanging up, I sat in my workshop behind the house, surrounded by the tools of my trade. Hammers, saws, drills, instruments of creation that could easily become instruments of destruction. My phone buzzed again. Another text from the same unknown number. Hope you don't mind sharing. Harper says you're cool with it. Modern marriage and all that. I typed back, "Who is this?" "Chase, obviously. Harper gave me your number. We should grab a beer sometime, talk about boundaries and expectations. I respect what you and Harper had, but it's time to move forward." This guy was texting me about boundaries while sleeping with my wife. The sheer audacity would have been impressive if it weren't so infuriating. I walked back into the house and looked around at everything I'd built. Crown molding in the living room, custom kitchen island, built-in bookshelves in Maddie's room. 15 years of marriage, 11 years of fatherhood, 5 years in this house I'd crafted with my own hands. Harper wanted modern. I'd show her modern. I opened my laptop and started researching. Chase Collins had built his brand on trust and authenticity. His Instagram bio read, "Fitness coach, life mentor, helping you become your best self." 40,000 followers hung on his every word about discipline, integrity, and respect. Funny how integrity looked different in private messages to married women. I screenshotted everything. The photos, the messages, the timeline that proved Harper's work meetings coincided perfectly with Chase's training sessions at his private gym. My phone rang, Harper's name on the screen. "Having second thoughts?" I answered. "Ethan, I want you to know this isn't personal. Chase and I just have something special. Special enough to humiliate me with photos? You're being dramatic. Lots of couples have open arrangements these days. You should try to be more evolved." Evolved. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Is that what we're calling adultery now? Don't be crude. Chase thinks you might actually like having less pressure to perform. You could focus on your hobbies, your little projects. My little projects. I looked around the kitchen I'd designed and built. You mean like our home? You know what I mean. Look, I have to go. We're at dinner, and Chase doesn't like when I'm on the phone. Chase doesn't like it. Got it. Anything else my wife's boyfriend wants me to know? Stop being bitter, Ethan. It's not attractive. She hung up. I sat in the dark kitchen, listening to the house settle around me. Every creak was familiar. I knew which floorboards squeaked, which doors needed adjusting, which windows stuck in humid weather. This house was my masterpiece, and Harper was treating it like a rest stop between adventures. My phone buzzed with a notification. Chase had posted a new Instagram story, a photo of an expensive bottle of wine with the caption, "Celebrating new beginnings with someone special." The comments were full of fire emojis and questions about his mystery woman. His female followers were practically throwing themselves at him through their phones. I wondered how they'd react when they learned their fitness guru was celebrating breaking up a marriage. Another buzz. A text from my neighbor, Mrs. Patterson. Saw Harper leave in quite the outfit tonight. Everything okay over there? The neighborhood gossip network was already activated. In a suburb like ours, secrets had a shelf life of about 24 hours. I texted back, "Just fine. Thanks for checking." But it wasn't fine. Nothing about this was fine. I opened my laptop again and created a new folder, Evidence. Started organizing screenshots, dates, times. If Harper wanted to play games, I'd learn the rules. My phone rang again. This time it was Maddie, calling from her grandmother's house. "Hi, Daddy." Grandma made cookies. "Are you and Mom coming to pick me up tomorrow?" "I'll be there, sweetheart." Mom might be busy. She's always busy lately. Is everything okay? Smart kid. Too smart for her own good sometimes. Everything's fine. We'll talk when you get home, okay? Okay. I love you, Daddy. I love you too, Maddie. More than anything. After she hung up, I sat in the silence and made a decision. Harper wanted modern. Chase wanted to celebrate new beginnings. Fine. I'd give them both exactly what they deserved. The next morning, I drove to Chase's gym. Not the public one where normal people worked out, but his private training facility downtown where he filmed content and trained his exclusive clients. The building was all glass and steel, the kind of place that screamed, "Look how successful I am." I parked across the street and watched through the floor-to-ceiling windows as Chase led a group fitness class, his voice carrying through the parking lot. Push through the burn. Success requires sacrifice. Be the person your future self will thank. Motivational garbage, but his clients ate it up. Mostly women in expensive workout gear, hanging on his every word like he was dispensing life-changing wisdom instead of basic fitness advice. My phone buzzed. Text from Harper. Stayed at Chase's last night. We need to talk today. This doesn't have to be messy. I typed back, already messy. You made sure of that with the photos. Don't be petty, Ethan. We're all adults here. Adults, right. Adults who sent humiliating photos to their spouse's phone. I got out of my truck and walked into the gym. The front desk girl, probably 19 with the kind of fake smile that came with commission-based pay, greeted me with enthusiasm. "Welcome to Collins Elite Fitness. Are you here for a consultation?" "Actually, I'm here to see Chase. Personal matter." "Oh, he's finishing up a class. You can wait in the lounge area." The lounge was all leather furniture and motivational posters. Your only limit is you. Pain is weakness leaving the body. Trust the process. Trust the process. I almost laughed. 20 minutes later, Chase emerged from the training floor, towel around his neck, still glowing from his performance. He spotted me, and his face shifted from confusion to recognition to something that might have been guilt. "Ethan." "Hey, man. Didn't expect to see you here." "I bet you didn't." He glanced around the lobby, suddenly aware that his staff and lingering clients could hear everything. "Want to grab coffee?" "There's a place next door." "Sure. Let's talk." The coffee shop was crowded enough to provide cover, but quiet enough for conversation. Chase ordered some complicated drink with oat milk and extra shots. I got black coffee. "Look, man, I know this is awkward," he started once we sat down. Awkward. That's one word for it. "Harper told me you guys have been having problems for a while. She said you were basically roommates at this point." "Did she?" "What else did Harper tell you?" "That you'd grown apart. Different goals, different lifestyles. She needs someone who can match her energy. And that someone is you. I didn't plan for this to happen, Ethan. But when you connect with someone on a deeper level, you have to honor that connection." I stared at him across the small table. This guy actually believed his own bullshit. Honor the connection. By sending me photos from your bed? His face flushed. That was Harper's idea. She thought it would be easier if everything was out in the open. No sneaking around, no lies. No lies. Except for the 6 months of sneaking around before the photos. We were trying to figure things out. Harper didn't want to hurt you unnecessarily. Mission accomplished there? Chase leaned forward, his voice dropping to what he probably thought was a sincere tone. "Ethan, I respect what you and Harper built together. But sometimes people grow in different directions. Harper needs someone who can challenge her, push her to be her best self. And I can't do that because I work with my hands instead of posting workout videos. It's not about your job, man. It's about mindset, ambition. Harper is destined for bigger things, and she needs a partner who can elevate her." "Elevate her, right." I took a sip of coffee, studying his face. "Tell me something, Chase. How many of your clients know you're sleeping with married women?" "That's not fair." "Fair? You want to talk about fair?" I pulled out my phone and showed him the screenshot of his message. "You texted me about boundaries and expectations. While you were screwing my wife, I was trying to be mature about the situation. Mature would have been staying away from married women." Chase sat back in his chair, his motivational speaker mask slipping. "Look, Harper is going to leave you either way. At least this way everyone gets what they want. What I want is my wife to honor her marriage vows. Those are just words, man. Legal contracts. What Harper and I have is real connection, real chemistry. Real chemistry. I nodded slowly. How's that chemistry going to hold up when your followers find out their integrity coach is a homewrecker? His face went pale. You wouldn't. Try me. Ethan, be reasonable. Going public would hurt everyone, including Maddie. Don't. My voice came out harder than I intended. Don't you dare bring my daughter into this. I'm just saying kids are resilient. She'll adapt to the new normal. There is no new normal. There's my family, and there's you staying the hell away from it. Chase's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and smiled. Harper's on her way. She wanted to be here for this conversation. Of course she did. She cares about you, Ethan. We both do. That's why we want to handle this the right way. The right way would have been not cheating in the first place. You can't force someone to love you, man. Harper deserves to be happy. And I don't? Of course you do. But not at the expense of Harper's authenticity. Authenticity. These people had an excuse for everything. The coffee shop door chimed, and Harper walked in wearing yoga pants and a tank top that probably cost more than most people's car payments. She spotted us immediately and walked over with the confidence of someone who believed she held all the cards. Hi, honey, she said, kissing Chase on the cheek before sitting down. How's it going? Your husband is having trouble accepting the new arrangement, Chase said. It's not an arrangement, I said. It's adultery. Harper sighed. Ethan, I hoped we could be civilized about this. Civilized? Like sending photos from your boyfriend's bed? I thought honesty was better than sneaking around. Honesty would have been talking to me before you started sleeping with him. Would it have changed anything? We both know this marriage has been over for years. I didn't know that. Because you weren't paying attention. When was the last time we had a real conversation? When was the last time you asked about my dreams, my goals? When was the last time you were home long enough for a conversation? Harper looked at Chase, who reached over and squeezed her hand. The gesture was small but deliberate, designed to show me exactly where her loyalties lay. This doesn't have to be ugly, Ethan, she said. We can work out custody arrangements, divide assets fairly. Chase has connections with some excellent divorce attorneys who specialize in amicable separations. How thoughtful of him. I'm trying to help, Chase said. I know guys who've been through this. It's tough at first, but most of them say they're happier afterward. Most of them probably weren't married to women who documented their affairs for social media. Harper's face flushed. I never posted anything publicly. Yet? I would never do that to Maddie. But you'll do this to her father. Daddy issues aren't attractive, Ethan, Chase said. Maybe this is an opportunity for you to work on yourself. I know some great therapists. I stood up, done with this conversation. Harper, I'll be at the house. When you're ready to have a real conversation about our marriage and our daughter, you know where to find me. This is the real conversation, she said. I'm not giving up Chase. Then you're giving up everything else. I walked out of the coffee shop, leaving them to their authentic connection and their mature arrangement. But I didn't drive home. Instead, I parked down the street and waited. 30 minutes later, Harper and Chase emerged, walking hand in hand toward the gym. They looked like any other couple, if you ignored the fact that one of them was married to someone else. I followed them back to Chase's building and watched as they disappeared into the elevator. Then I walked around to the parking garage. Chase's car was easy to spot. A white BMW convertible with custom plates that read FITLIFE. The kind of car that screamed for attention, just like its owner. I had my truck toolbox in the back, and I always carried a few essentials. Nothing illegal, nothing permanent, just a little creative expression. 20 minutes later, I was back in my truck, watching the building entrance. My phone buzzed with a text to Harper. Checked on your car, Chase. Might want to take a look before your next drive. I didn't wait for a response. I drove home, poured myself a beer, and waited for the show to begin. It didn't take long. My phone started buzzing with calls from Harper. I let them go to voicemail. The first message, Ethan, what did you do to Chase's car? This is vandalism. The second, you slashed his tires and put something disgusting in his air vents. This is so immature. The third, Chase is calling the police. You can't just destroy people's property, I called her back. Did you really call the police? I asked when she answered. Chase wanted to, but I talked him out of it, for now. How generous of you. What you did was illegal, Ethan. Vandalism, destruction of property. What I did was express myself creatively. The tires aren't slashed, they're just deflated. The fish in the air vents will wash out. And the graffiti is water-based paint. You wrote "Trust this" Chase on his windshield. I thought it was clever. Truth in advertising. This isn't funny. You're right. It's not funny. It's hilarious. Harper was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was different, harder. You want to play games, Ethan? Fine, but remember, I know all your secrets too. What secrets? That I work hard and love my family? We'll see how much you love your family when I'm done. She hung up. I sat in my kitchen, looking around at the home I'd built, and smiled for the first time in days. Harper wanted to play games. I was just getting started. The next morning, I drove past Chase's gym and saw his BMW in the parking lot, still sporting my artwork. He'd managed to get most of the paint off the windshield, but "Trust this" was still faintly visible in the morning sun. I parked across the street and called my buddy Nate. Please tell me you didn't actually vandalize his car, Nate said without preamble. Define vandalism. Ethan, relax. Nothing permanent. Just a little creative expression. Harper called me last night. She's pissed. Harper's been pissed at me for months. At least now she's honest about it. She said you're acting crazy, that she's worried about Maddie's safety. I sat up straighter. She said what? Don't shoot the messenger, man. But she's talking about getting a restraining order. For deflating tires and putting fish in air vents? She's saying it's escalating, that you're unstable. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. Of course Harper would play the victim card. Classic move. Cheat on your husband, then claim he's dangerous when he fights back. Nate, you've known me for 15 years. Do you think I'm unstable? I think you're hurt and angry, which is normal. But maybe ease up on the pranks before she makes good on the restraining order threat. After hanging up, I sat in my truck and watched Chase's gym. Through the windows, I could see him leading another fitness class, all energy and motivation, as if his car hadn't been decorated with rotting fish 12 hours earlier. My phone buzzed. Text from Harper. Picking up Maddie from Mom's today. She's staying with me at Chase's until you calm down. I called her immediately. You're not taking Maddie to your boyfriend's apartment. It's not an apartment, it's a penthouse. And yes, I am. Chase has a guest room she can use. Absolutely not. You don't get to control this anymore, Ethan. Your little stunt last night proved you're not stable enough to be around our daughter. I deflated some tires, Harper. I didn't burn down a building. You vandalized property. You're escalating. What's next? What's next is you bringing my daughter home where she belongs. She belongs with her mother, and her mother is with Chase now. Her mother is married to me. Not for much longer. I'm filing for divorce next week, and I'm asking for full custody. The words hit like a punch to the gut. I'd known divorce was inevitable, but hearing it stated so matter-of-factly, combined with the custody threat, made it real in a way that scared me. You can't keep Maddie from me. I can if you're a danger to her well-being. I'm not a danger to anyone. Tell that to Chase's car. Harper, please, don't bring Maddie into this. Whatever's happening between us, she doesn't deserve to be caught in the middle. I agree, which is why she's staying with me until you get help. What kind of help? Anger management, therapy, whatever it takes to deal with your control issues. My control issues? You're the one who cheated, and you're the one who's acting out violently. Violently? I put fish in an air conditioner. It's still destruction of property, still intimidation. I realized I was getting nowhere with this conversation. Harper had already decided I was the villain in her story, and nothing I said would change that narrative. When can I see Maddie? When you're ready to behave like an adult? I am an adult. Adults don't cheat on their spouses and then claim victim status. Adults also don't vandalize cars. She hung up. I sat in my truck, watching Chase's gym, and felt something shift inside me. Harper wanted to play the victim? Fine. But victims needed someone to victimize them, and I was done being her convenient target. I drove home and spent the afternoon in my workshop thinking. Harper was right about one thing. I was escalating, but not in the way she thought. That evening, I got a call from my lawyer buddy, Mike Stevens. We'd gone to high school together, and he'd handled the legal work when Harper and I bought the house. Heard you might need some professional advice, he said. Harper called you? Nate called me. Said you were having marital problems and might need representation. Harper's filing for divorce, and she's threatening to go for full custody. On what grounds? She claims I'm unstable. Dangerous. Are you? I deflated her boyfriend's tires and put some fish in his car. Hardly the crime of the century. Mike was quiet for a moment. Ethan, I need you to listen to me very carefully. If Harper is building a case that you're unstable or violent, every action you take from now on will be scrutinized. Every text message, every confrontation, every prank. So I should just let them walk all over me? You should be smart about how you handle this. Document everything. Keep records. And for God's sake, stop vandalizing property. It wasn't vandalism. It was artistic expression. Tell that to a judge. After Mike hung up, I sat in my workshop and thought about what he'd said. Harper was building a narrative, casting herself as the victim and me as the unstable husband who couldn't handle her newfound happiness. But narratives could be changed, stories could be rewritten. I opened my laptop and started researching. Chase Collins, fitness influencer, life coach, homewrecker. His entire brand was built on trust, authenticity, and helping people become their best selves. I wondered how his followers would react to learning their role model was sleeping with married women. Chase's Instagram was a masterpiece of manufactured inspiration. Shirtless workout videos, motivational quotes over sunset photos, testimonials from clients about how he'd changed their lives, 43,000 followers, all believing they knew the real Chase Collins. But I knew something they didn't. I had screenshots of his messages, photos of him with Harper, evidence of who he really was behind the inspirational facade. The question was how to use that information effectively. My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. This is Chase. We need to talk. I typed back, talk away. Not over text, in person. Can you meet me at the gym tomorrow morning? Why would I do that? Because Harper is talking about getting a restraining order and I think we can work something out. Interesting. Chase wanted to negotiate. What kind of something? Come to the gym at 6 a.m. before it opens. We'll have privacy. I stared at the message for a long time. This could be a trap, a way for Chase to claim I was harassing him, but it could also be an opportunity. Fine, 6 a.m. Thanks, man. I think we can figure this out like adults. Adults. Everyone kept using that word like it meant something. I spent the rest of the evening preparing. Not for violence. I wasn't stupid enough to give Harper ammunition for her victim narrative, but for conversation, for negotiation, for the chance to look Chase Collins in the eye and see what kind of man he really was when the cameras weren't rolling. At 5:45 a.m., I parked outside Chase's gym. The building was dark except for security lights, and the parking lot was empty except for his BMW and my truck. I walked to the front door and found it unlocked. Inside, the gym was quiet. All the motivational energy replaced by the hum of air conditioning and the distant sound of traffic. Ethan? Back here. I followed Chase's voice to his office, a glass-walled space overlooking the main workout floor. He was sitting behind his desk wearing gym clothes but looking tired, older somehow, without the bright lights and camera angles. "Thanks for coming," he said, gesturing to a chair across from his desk. "This better be good." "Look, man, I know you're angry. I get it. But Harper is serious about the restraining order, and that won't be good for anyone. Especially not for you." "What do you mean?" "Restraining orders are public record. So are the reasons for them. Your followers might be interested to learn their fitness guru is involved in a domestic dispute." Chase's face tightened. "That's not fair. I'm not the one who vandalized property. And I'm not the one who broke up a marriage. Harper was unhappy long before I came along. But you came along anyway. I didn't plan for this to happen. But you didn't stop it either." Chase leaned, back in his chair, studying me. "What do you want, Ethan?" "Really? I want my wife to honor her marriage vows. I want my daughter to grow up in a stable home. I want people to keep their hands off what doesn't belong to them. Harper doesn't belong to you. She's not property." "No, but she is my wife." "Was my wife. Whatever. Was. Exactly. It's over, man. The question is whether it ends clean or messy. Harper already made it messy when she sent me those photos. That was a mistake. She was trying to be honest, but it came out wrong. It came out exactly how she intended. As a humiliation." Chase was quiet for a moment, then leaned forward. "Okay, you want honesty? Here it is. Harper is done with this marriage. She's filing for divorce whether you cooperate or not. But if you keep acting out, she's going to make it ugly. Custody battles, financial disputes, the whole thing. And if I cooperate? Clean split. Fair custody arrangement. Nobody gets destroyed. Except me. You'll survive. Guys like you always do. Guys like me? Working class, practical. You'll find someone else, someone more suited to your lifestyle." I stared at him across the desk, this guy who thought he had me figured out. Blue-collar Ethan, too simple to understand that his wife needed more than he could provide. "Tell me something, Chase. How many married women have you helped find themselves? This isn't about other women. It's about Harper." "Right. Special connection. Real chemistry. I've heard the speech." "It's not a speech. It's the truth. The truth is, you're a predator who targets unhappy wives. That's not... The truth is, you built your brand on integrity and authenticity while screwing around with married women. Harper came to me. And you could have said no. Why would I say no to someone I care about? Because she was married. Because she had a daughter. Because it was the right thing to do." Chase stood up, pacing behind his desk. The right thing according to who? Some outdated social contract? Harper deserves to be happy. And I don't? Of course you do. But not at her expense. I stood up too, done with this conversation. "Here's what's going to happen, Chase. I'm going to fight for my marriage and my daughter. And if that makes things messy for you, well, maybe you should have thought about that before you started sleeping with someone else's wife. Ethan, be reasonable." "I am being reasonable. Reasonable would be posting those screenshots online and letting your followers decide what they think about your integrity. You do that, and Harper will get her restraining order. And full custody. Maybe. Or maybe people will see who the real villain is in this story." I walked toward the door, but Chase's voice stopped me. "You know what your problem is, Ethan? You think you can control people, but you can't control Harper, and you can't control me." I turned back to face him. "You're right. I can't control you, but I can expose you. And destroy your daughter's family in the process? Harper already did that." I left him standing in his glass office, surrounded by his motivational posters and his manufactured success, and walked out into the morning sun. My phone was buzzing before I reached my truck. Text from Harper. Chase said you threatened him. This stops now. I typed back, tell Chase if he wants to play victim, he picked the wrong guy. I'm serious, Ethan. One more incident, and I'm calling the police. Call them. I'm sure they'd love to hear about your boyfriend's business practices. She didn't respond. I drove home, made coffee, and sat in my kitchen looking at the evidence I'd collected. Photos, messages, timelines. Everything I needed to show the world who Chase Collins really was. The question was timing. Harper was expecting me to act out, to do something stupid that would justify her victim narrative. But what if I didn't give her what she expected? What if I gave her something else entirely? Harper picked up Maddie that afternoon, and I watched from my workshop window as they loaded suitcases into Harper's car. My daughter looked confused, glancing back at the house like she couldn't understand why she wasn't coming inside. I wanted to run out there, to hug her, and tell her everything would be okay. But Harper had made it clear that any contact would be seen as harassment, more evidence of my unstable behavior. Instead, I took photos. Harper and Maddie leaving with suitcases, time-stamped, documented. If this was going to be a custody battle, I'd need evidence of everything. That evening, Nate called. How'd the meeting with Chase go? About like you'd expect. He wants me to quietly disappear so he and Harper can play house with my daughter. And you said? I said no. Ethan, man, you need to be careful. Harper's been calling around, talking to mutual friends. She's building a case that you're losing it. What kind of case? The kind that ends with you seeing Maddie every other weekend. I closed my eyes, feeling the weight of it. Harper wasn't just leaving me. She was systematically destroying my reputation, turning our friends against me, painting herself as the victim of an unstable husband. Who's she been talking to? The Johnsons, the Millers, people from the neighborhood association. She's telling them you've been threatening her and Chase, that she's afraid for her safety. That's bullshit. I know it's bullshit. You know it's bullshit. But if enough people believe it, then what do? Fight smart. Document everything. Get a good lawyer. And for God's sake, stop giving her ammunition. After Nate hung up, I sat in my workshop and thought about what he'd said. Harper was playing a long game, building a narrative that would justify her actions and demonize mine. Every mutual friend she convinced, every neighbor she swayed, was another brick in the wall she was building around my daughter. But narratives worked both ways. I opened my laptop and started typing. Not an angry rant or a bitter accusation, but a calm, factual account of what had happened. The timeline of Harper's affair, the evidence I'd collected, the attempts at manipulation and intimidation. I didn't post it anywhere, not yet. But I wanted it ready. My phone buzzed. Text from Harper. Maddie wants to call you. 5 minutes. The phone rang a moment later, and I heard my daughter's voice. Hi, Daddy. Hi, sweetheart. How are you doing? I'm okay. Chase's place is really big. He has a whole wall that's just windows. That sounds nice. Are you comfortable there? I guess. Mom says we're staying here for a while. She says you need some time to work on yourself. I closed my eyes, hating that Maddie was caught in the middle of this. Maddie, I want you to know that I love you very much, and none of this is your fault, okay? I know, Daddy. Are you and Mom getting divorced? The question hit like a punch. 11 years old, and she already knew her world was falling apart. I don't know, sweetheart. We're having some problems right now. Is it because of Chase? Smart kid. Too smart. It's complicated, Maddie. Adult stuff. I don't like him very much. He talks to Mom like she's stupid, but in a nice way. Interesting observation. Even an 11-year-old could see through Chase's manipulative charm. Just focus on school and your friends, okay? Let the adults handle the adult stuff. Okay. I love you, Daddy. I love you too, sweetheart. More than anything. After she hung up, I sat in the silence and made a decision. Harper wanted to play the victim? Fine. But victims needed villains, and I was done being hers. The next morning, I drove to Harper's office. She worked for a mid-sized marketing firm downtown, the kind of place that prided itself on image and reputation. I'd been to company parties there, met her colleagues, knew her boss. I didn't go inside. Instead, I parked across the street and waited. At lunchtime, Harper emerged with two other women I recognized from office parties. They walked to a nearby restaurant, and I followed at a distance. I didn't approach them. I just listened. "So Chase is moving in?" one of the women asked. "Eventually," Harper replied. "We're taking it slow for Maddie's sake." "How's Ethan handling it?" "Not well. He's been making threats, vandalizing Chase's property. I'm worried he might escalate." "Have you called the police?" "Not yet. I keep hoping he'll calm down and we can handle this like adults." I took out my phone and started recording. Not for legal purposes. The recording would be inadmissible in court, but for my own documentation. "It's so hard," Harper continued. "I never wanted to hurt him, but I can't stay in a marriage that's not working just to spare his feelings." "You have to think about your own happiness," the second woman said. "Exactly. And Chase makes me happy in a way Ethan never could. He challenges me, supports my ambitions. Ethan just wants me to be satisfied with being a contractor's wife." "There's nothing wrong with being a contractor's wife," the first woman said. "Of course not. It's just not enough for me anymore. I need someone who can match my energy, my drive." I stopped recording and walked back to my truck. Harper was performing for her colleagues, playing the role of the misunderstood wife who'd finally found true love. But her words revealed something else, a deep contempt for the life we'd built together, for the man I was. That afternoon, I got a call from Mike Stevens. "Harper filed for divorce this morning," he said, without preamble. That was fast. "She's asking for full custody, spousal support, and half of everything, including the house. The house I built with my own hands. The house you built during the marriage, which makes it marital property." "What about the affair? Doesn't that count for anything?" "Texas is a no-fault divorce state. The affair doesn't impact property division. But it impacts custody, right? Maybe, if we can prove it's detrimental to Maddie's well-being. But Harper's claiming you're the unstable one. Based on what? Harassment, threats, destruction of property. She's got photos of Chase's car, witness statements about your behavior." I closed my eyes. Harper had been building her case while I was playing pranks. What do I do? Get your own evidence. Document everything. And Ethan, stop giving her ammunition. That evening, I sat in my workshop and looked at everything I'd collected. Photos, messages, recordings, evidence of Harper's affair, her manipulation, her systematic destruction of our marriage. But evidence only mattered if people saw it. I opened my laptop and logged into Facebook. Our mutual friends, neighbors, colleagues, they were all there, believing Harper's version of events. Time to give them another perspective. I started with a simple post. When someone you trust betrays that trust, it changes everything. Not just about them, but about yourself. I'm learning that the hard way. Within minutes, comments started appearing. Friends offering support, asking what was wrong, wanting to know what happened. I didn't respond directly. Instead, I posted a photo, one of the screenshots Chase had sent me, the selfie from his bed with Harper. I didn't include names or details, just the image with a caption. Some trust, some don't. Apparently, I trusted too much. My phone started ringing immediately. First Nate, then Mike, then numbers I didn't recognize. I let them all go to voicemail, but I watched the post. Watched the comments pile up, the shares multiply, the story spread through our social network like wildfire. Harper called an hour later. "Take it down," she said without preamble. "Take what down?" "You know what? The Facebook post. Take it down now." "Why?" I thought you wanted honesty, transparency. You're humiliating Maddie. I'm telling the truth. I thought you valued truth. Ethan, I'm serious. Delete the post or I'm calling my lawyer. Call him. I'm sure he'd love to see the evidence I have. What evidence? Screenshots, photos, recordings. Everything, Harper. Your whole performance. She was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was different. Scared. You've been recording me? I've been documenting the destruction of my marriage for legal purposes. That's illegal. Actually, it's not. Texas is a one-party consent state. I can record any conversation I'm part of. You bastard. Careful, Harper. Wouldn't want people to see the real you behind all that victim act? She hung up. I looked at my Facebook post again. 300 likes, 50 comments, 20 shares. The story was spreading, and people were starting to see Harper's affair for what it really was. My phone buzzed. Text from Chase. This is harassment. Take down the post, or we're calling the police. I typed back, call them. I'm sure they'd love to meet the homewrecker. You're destroying your daughter's family. Harper already did that. I'm just documenting it. I turned off my phone and sat in the quiet workshop, surrounded by the tools of my trade. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I was building something instead of watching it fall apart. Harper wanted to play victim. Fine, but victims needed credibility, and credibility was built on trust. And trust, as I was learning, was a fragile thing. The next morning, I woke up to find my Facebook post had gone viral within our social circle. Over 1,000 reactions, hundreds of comments and shares spreading across Dallas like wildfire. The screenshot of Harper and Chase in bed was being dissected by friends, neighbors, and complete strangers. My phone had 47 missed calls. The first voicemail was from Harper's boss. Ethan, this is David Richardson from Harper's office. We need to discuss this social media situation immediately. The second was from Harper, her voice shaking. You've destroyed everything. I hope you're happy. The third was from my lawyer. Ethan, call me back immediately. We need to discuss damage control. But the fourth voicemail made me smile. It was from Mrs. Patterson, our elderly neighbor. Ethan, honey, I just saw that awful picture on Facebook. I had no idea what that woman was putting you through. If you need anything at all, you just let me know. I made coffee and scrolled through the comments on my post. The neighborhood was divided, but not in the way Harper had expected. Instead of rallying around the poor victim of an unstable husband, people were expressing outrage at her betrayal. I can't believe Harper would do this to such a nice family. That Chase guy has been hitting on married women at the gym for months. Poor Maddie. This is going to devastate that little girl. Ethan, we're praying for you. Stay strong. My phone rang. Harper's number. Are you satisfied? She asked when I answered. With what? You've humiliated me in front of the entire neighborhood. My boss called me into his office this morning. I might lose my job. Maybe you should have thought about that before you sent me that photo. I trusted you to handle this privately. You trusted me? That's rich, coming from someone who's been lying for months. I never lied to you. You told me you were working late while you were sleeping with Chase. That's lying. I was protecting you from unnecessary pain. By documenting your affair and sending me the evidence? Harper was quiet for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was different. Desperate. Ethan, please. Take down the post. We can work this out privately. Like you worked out your affair privately? That's different. How? Because this affects Maddie. She's going to see this someday. She's going to find out about your affair someday anyway. At least this way she'll know her father didn't just roll over and take it. You're being cruel. I'm being honest. I thought you valued honesty. Not like this. Then how? What was your plan, Harper? String me along while you played house with Chase? Let me find out when you announced your engagement? I was going to tell you everything after the divorce was finalized. How considerate. My phone buzzed with a call waiting. Chase's number. Your boyfriend's calling, I told Harper. Don't answer it. Why not? I'm sure he has something inspiring to say. I switched to Chase's call. Ethan, you need to take down that post, he said immediately. Good morning to you too, Chase. This is serious. Harper could lose her job. My sponsors are asking questions. You're destroying innocent people. Innocent people? You're sleeping with someone else's wife. That doesn't give you the right to destroy our lives. Funny, I don't remember you worrying about destroying mine. That's different. Your marriage was already over. According to who? According to Harper. She told me you guys were basically roommates. And you believed her? Why would she lie? I almost laughed. Chase, you're 36 years old. How have you survived this long being that naive? I'm not naive. I'm trusting. You're gullible. Harper told you what you wanted to hear, so you'd feel better about breaking up a marriage. I didn't break up anything. I just gave Harper the support she needed to leave an unhappy situation. Support. Is that what we're calling it now? Ethan, please. I know you're hurt, but this isn't the way to handle it. What is the way, Chase? Should I have just stepped aside and let you steal my wife? I didn't steal anyone. Harper made her own choice. After you spent months manipulating her, I never manipulated anyone. Right. You just happened to be there when she needed someone to validate her dissatisfaction with our marriage. Look, I'm sorry this happened the way it did. But Harper and I have something real. Something real. How long have you been together, Chase? 6 months. And how long was I married to Harper? 15 years. 15 years versus 6 months. And you think you know her better than I do? I know she's not happy with you. She wasn't happy with me. There's a difference. What do you mean? I mean, Harper's never happy, Chase. She always needs more, wants more, expects more. Right now, you're new and exciting, but give it time. You're wrong. Am I? Tell me something. How often does Harper criticize you? Your clothes, your apartment, your friends? Chase was quiet. She hasn't started yet, I continued. But she will. Harper doesn't just want a partner. She wants a project. Someone to fix, to improve, to mold into her ideal man. That's not true. Ask her about the renovations she wants to make to your penthouse. Ask her about your workout routine, your diet, your social media presence. I guarantee she's got opinions. She's just trying to help me be my best self. Right. And when you can't be improved anymore, she'll find someone else who can. You're just bitter because you lost her. I lost her the day she decided our marriage wasn't worth fighting for, but you haven't won her, Chase. You've just inherited the problem. I hung up and immediately called Harper back. Finished talking to your boyfriend? She answered. He's an idiot. Don't be mean. Harper, I need to ask you something and I want an honest answer. What? When did you stop loving me? She was quiet for a long time. When she finally spoke, her voice was soft. I don't know. It wasn't a specific moment. It was gradual. But you know when you started loving him. Ethan. When, Harper? 4 months ago. Maybe 5. Before or after you started sleeping with him? Does it matter? It matters to me. After. The sex came first. The feelings developed later. At least she was being honest now. So you cheated first, then fell in love? It's not that simple. It sounds pretty simple. You were bored, he was available, one thing led to another. I was lonely, Ethan. You were always working, always focused on your projects. I felt invisible. So you made yourself visible to someone else. I made a mistake. But then it became something more. Something worth destroying our family for. I didn't want to destroy anything. I wanted to find a way to be happy. At my expense. I never meant for it to happen this way. How did you mean for it to happen? I don't know. I thought maybe you'd understand. Maybe we could work out some kind of arrangement. An arrangement where you keep your husband and your boyfriend? Other couples do it. Other couples discuss it first. They don't send humiliating photos to their spouse. That was a mistake. I was trying to be honest, but I handled it wrong. You handled everything wrong, Harper. I know, and I'm sorry. But what you're doing now, this public humiliation, it's not helping anyone. It's helping me. How? Because for the first time in months, people are seeing the truth instead of your victim act. I'm not acting like a victim. You told your co-workers I was making threats. You told our neighbors I was unstable. You were building a case to take my daughter away from me. I was protecting myself. From what? From having to face the consequences of your actions? From your anger? My anger? Harper, I deflated some tires and put fish in an air conditioner. I didn't threaten anyone. You were escalating. I was responding. There's a difference. Ethan, please. Take down the post. We can work this out privately. No. What do you mean, no? I mean, no. You made this public when you sent me that photo. You made it personal when you tried to turn our friends against me. You made it about Maddie when you threatened to take her away. I never threatened. You told me you were going for full custody. That sounds like a threat to me. I was trying to protect her from the conflict. You were trying to punish me for not rolling over and accepting your affair. Harper was crying now. I could hear it in her voice. Ethan, I'm begging you. Please take down the post. I'll do anything. Anything? Yes. Come home. End it with Chase. Go to marriage counseling with me. I can't do that. Then there's nothing to discuss. Ethan, please. I hung up. My phone immediately started buzzing with texts from Harper, from Chase, from numbers I didn't recognize. I turned it off and sat in my kitchen, looking around at the home I'd built. For the first time in months, it felt like mine again. The neighborhood block party was scheduled for Saturday afternoon, 3 days after my Facebook post went viral. It was an annual tradition, families gathering in the community park, kids playing games, adults sharing gossip over beer and barbecue. I almost didn't go. The last thing I wanted was to face the stares and whispered conversations about my failed marriage. But Mrs. Patterson called Friday evening. Ethan, honey, you have to come tomorrow. Show your face, hold your head high. Don't let that woman make you hide in shame. I'm not ashamed, Mrs. Patterson. I'm just tired. Of course you're tired, but hiding won't help anything. People need to see you're okay, that you're handling this with dignity. Dignity. I wasn't sure I had much of that left. I don't know if I'm ready for all the questions. Then don't answer them. Just show up, eat some barbecue, and remind everyone that you're still part of this community. Saturday morning, I showered, put on clean clothes, and drove to the park. Cars lined the streets, families carrying coolers and folding chairs toward the pavilion. Normal people living normal lives, not dealing with cheating wives and custody battles. I parked and walked toward the crowd, steeling myself for the inevitable conversations. Ethan! Dave Johnson waved me over to where he was manning the grill. Glad you made it, buddy. Wouldn't miss it. How are you holding up? I saw that post on Facebook. Man, I had no idea what you were going through. I'm managing. Harper's not coming, is she? I doubt it. She's been staying at Chase's place. Dave shook his head. I never liked that guy. Too smooth, you know, like a used car salesman. More neighbors approached throughout the afternoon. Some offered awkward condolences, others asked pointed questions about the divorce. A few women made it clear they'd never trusted Harper, as if her affair had confirmed their suspicions. I was talking to Mike Stevens about custody arrangements when I saw Harper's car pull up across the street. Shit, Mike muttered. What's she doing here? Harper got out of the driver's seat, wearing a sundress and sunglasses, looking like she was attending a garden party instead of facing the neighbors she'd scandalized. Chase emerged from the passenger side, all smiles and confidence, as if he belonged at a community event for families he'd helped destroy. The conversation around me died as people noticed their arrival. Kids kept playing, but every adult in the park was suddenly watching Harper and Chase walk toward the pavilion. This should be interesting, Dave Johnson said, flipping burgers with more force than necessary. Harper approached our group with Chase at her side, her chin raised in defiance. Hello, everyone, she said, her voice artificially bright. Beautiful day for the block party. The silence was deafening. Dave focused intently on his grill. Mike studied his beer like it contained the secrets of the universe. Mrs. Patterson, bless her heart, stepped forward. Harper, dear, I'm surprised to see you here. Why wouldn't I be here? This is my neighborhood too. Well, yes, but given the circumstances... What circumstances? Chase interjected, flashing his practiced smile. We're all adults here. No reason we can't be civil. I almost laughed. Chase was trying to charm a crowd that had spent the week discussing his role in breaking up a marriage. Civil, I repeated. Interesting word choice. Ethan. Harper's voice was tight. I hoped we could avoid a scene. A scene? You mean like the scene you created when you sent me that photo from his bed? That was a private matter between us. Nothing's private once you post it on social media, Mrs. Patterson said tartly. The whole neighborhood saw what you did to this poor man. I never posted anything on social media, Harper protested. No, but he did, Dave Johnson said, not looking up from his grill. And frankly, Harper, people needed to see what kind of person you really are. Harper's composure cracked slightly. What kind of person I really am? The kind who cheats on her husband and then tries to make him look like the bad guy, Mike Stevens said. You don't know what you're talking about, Chase said, stepping closer to Mike. You don't know what their marriage was like. I know what adultery looks like, Mike replied calmly. And I know what happens to homewreckers in this neighborhood. Homewrecker? Chase's voice rose. Harper was unhappy long before I came along. So, you decided to help her be happy by sleeping with her? I helped her realize she deserved better. Better than what? I asked, stepping forward. Better than a husband who loved her? Better than a stable home for her daughter? Better than a marriage that was already dead, Chase shot back. Dead according to who? You? The guy who's known her for 6 months? Dead according to Harper. She told me how miserable she was, how you never paid attention to her, how you took her for granted. And you believed everything she said without question? Why would she lie? Because that's what cheaters do, Chase. They rewrite history to justify their actions. Harper grabbed Chase's arm. We should go. This was a mistake. No, I said firmly. Don't go. Stay and face the people whose respect you threw away for a fitness influencer with commitment issues. Commitment issues? Chase's face flushed. I'm committed to Harper. For how long? 6 months? A year? Until you find someone newer and more exciting? You don't know anything about me. I know you're 36 years old and you've never been married. I know you make a living posting shirtless photos on Instagram. I know you target married women because they're easier to manipulate than single ones. That's not true. Isn't it? Tell me, Chase, how many of your female clients are married? That's not relevant. How many, Chase? He didn't answer. I pulled out my phone and opened Instagram. Let's see. Jessica Martinez, married. Stephanie Chen, married. Amanda Rodriguez, married. Seeing a pattern here? Those are just clients. Are they? Because I have screenshots of your messages to at least 3 of them. Very personal messages. Harper went pale. What messages? The same kind he sent me. Boundaries and expectations, modern relationships, helping women realize they deserve better. That's not, Chase started. Show them, Harper interrupted, her voice sharp. Show me these messages. I scrolled through my phone and found the screenshots I'd collected. Messages Chase had sent to married women, using the same lines, the same manipulation tactics he'd used on Harper. Your husband doesn't appreciate what he has, I read aloud. You deserve someone who can match your energy. Sound familiar, Harper? Harper snatched my phone and read the messages, her face growing paler with each one. These are from last month, she said quietly. While you were staying at his penthouse, I confirmed. You were messaging other women while we were together? Harper, I can explain. The same lines you used on me, word for word. The crowd around us had grown larger, neighbors abandoning their barbecue to watch the drama unfold. Kids were being quietly ushered away from the confrontation. It's not what it looks like, Chase said desperately. It looks like you're a serial cheater who preys on married women, Dave Johnson called out. It looks like you told my wife exactly what she wanted to hear while you were saying the same things to other men's wives, I added. Harper handed me back my phone, her hands shaking. How many others, Chase? Harper, let's discuss this privately. How many? It's not about numbers. What we have is special. What we have is a lie. Harper's voice was getting louder. You've been running the same game on multiple women. That's not true. The others don't mean anything. The others? Harper's voice cracked. There are others? Chase realized his mistake too late. I meant the messages don't mean anything. You're the only one I care about. But not the only one you're pursuing. Harper, please. Were you sleeping with them too? The question hung in the air like a challenge. Chase looked around at the crowd of neighbors, all waiting for his answer. Some of them, he admitted quietly. Harper slapped him. Hard. The sound echoed across the park like a gunshot. You bastard, she said, tears streaming down her face. I destroyed my marriage for you. Harper, I love you. You love the idea of me. Just like you love the idea of all those other women. That's not true. It's exactly true. You're a predator, Chase. You find unhappy wives and you tell them what they want to hear until you get what you want. What I want is you. What you want is conquest, the thrill of taking someone else's wife. Harper turned to face me, her makeup ruined by tears. Ethan, I'm so sorry. I'm so fucking sorry. Sorry for cheating or sorry for getting caught? Sorry for all of it. Sorry for believing his lies. Sorry for hurting you. Sorry for hurting Maddie. Are you? Or are you just sorry that your boyfriend turned out to be exactly what everyone said he was? I'm sorry I was stupid enough to think he actually cared about me. Chase grabbed Harper's arm. I do care about you. Those other women don't matter. Don't touch me. Harper jerked away from him. Don't ever touch me again. Harper, be reasonable. Reasonable? You want to talk about reasonable? Harper's voice was getting hysterical. I gave up everything for you. My marriage, my home, my daughter's respect. And you were running the same scam on other women the whole time. It wasn't a scam. It was exactly a scam. And I was just another mark. Harper turned back to me. Ethan, please. I know I don't deserve it, but please. Can we talk? Privately? About what? About fixing this. About coming home. You want to come home? I want to try. I want to go to counseling, work on our marriage, be a family again. What about Chase? Chase can go to hell. Chase stepped forward angrily. Harper, you're being emotional. Let's go back to my place and talk this through. I'm not going anywhere with you. You're staying with me. Your clothes are at my place. Your life is with me now. My life is with my daughter. And my daughter needs her father. Her father is a vindictive asshole who humiliated you in front of the whole neighborhood. Her father is the man I should never have betrayed. I looked at Harper, standing there in her sundress with mascara streaking down her cheeks, finally seeing Chase for what he really was. Part of me wanted to take her back, to salvage what was left of our family. But another part of me, the part that had been systematically humiliated and manipulated for months, wasn't ready to forgive. Harper, I said quietly, you made your choice. You chose him over me, over Maddie, over our marriage. You don't get to unmake that choice just because it didn't work out the way you planned. But I was wrong. I made a mistake. You made a series of choices. The affair, the lies, the photo, the custody threats. Those weren't mistakes, they were decisions. I can make different decisions now. Can you? Or will you just make different mistakes with the next guy who tells you what you want to hear? Harper sobbed openly now, the weight of her choices finally hitting her. Around us, the neighbors watched in uncomfortable silence, witnessing the complete destruction of what had once been a marriage. Chase, realizing he was losing control of the situation, made one last, desperate play. "This is all your fault," he said, pointing at me. "If you'd been a better husband, none of this would have happened." The crowd turned to stare at him with open hostility. "A better husband?" Mrs. Patterson's voice cut through the tension like a blade. "Young man, that is the most disgusting thing I've ever heard." It's true. Harper was neglected, taken for granted. Harper was married, Dave Johnson interrupted. If she was unhappy, she should have talked to her husband or gotten a divorce. She shouldn't have cheated. You don't understand the complexities. I understand that you're a home wrecker who's trying to blame everyone but himself, Mike Stevens said. Chase looked around at the hostile faces surrounding him and realized he'd lost the crowd completely. His charm, his manipulation, his practiced lines, none of it worked when people could see him for what he really was. "This is bullshit," he said finally. "Harper, we're leaving. I'm not going anywhere with you." "Yes, you are. Your stuff is at my place. You're staying with me, we're together." "Not anymore. You can't just change your mind because of some messages. I can do whatever I want. And what I want is for you to leave me alone." Chase grabbed Harper's arm again, harder this time. "You're coming with me." That's when I stepped forward. "Let go of her. This is between me and Harper. Let go of her now." Chase tightened his grip on Harper's arm, and I saw her wince in pain. "Make me," he said. So I did. I grabbed Chase's wrist and squeezed until he released Harper's arm. Then I pushed him backward, hard enough to send him stumbling into the picnic table behind him. "Don't touch her again," I said quietly. Chase regained his balance, his face flushed with anger and embarrassment. "You assaulted me." Everyone saw it. "I saw you grab my wife," Dave Johnson said. "I saw Ethan defend her. She's not his wife anymore. She's with me." "Actually," Harper said, her voice steadier now, "I'm not with anyone. I'm going home to my daughter. Your daughter is at my place." "Not anymore. I'm picking her up tonight." "The hell you are. Watch me." Chase looked around at the hostile crowd, realizing he'd lost everything in the span of 10 minutes. His conquest had turned against him, his manipulation had been exposed, and his reputation was in ruins. "This isn't over," he said, pointing at me. "Yes, it is," I replied calmly. "It's been over since you sent me that first text. You just didn't know it yet." Chase stormed off toward Harper's car, but she didn't follow him. "He can walk," she said to no one in particular. "Harper," I said quietly, "we need to talk, but not here." She nodded, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. "Can I come home?" "Just to talk?" I looked at my wife, my estranged wife, standing there in the wreckage of her affair, finally understanding the cost of her choices. "We can talk," I said. "But Harper? This doesn't fix anything. This doesn't undo the damage." "I know. But maybe it's a start." As we walked toward my truck, leaving Chase to find his own way back to his empty penthouse, I heard Mrs. Patterson talking to Dave Johnson. "Well," she said with satisfaction, "I guess that's the end of that nonsense." "Good riddance," Dave replied. "Some people need to learn that actions have consequences." I helped Harper into my truck and drove toward home, toward our daughter, toward whatever came next. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet. But it was a beginning. And sometimes, a beginning is enough. 3 months later, Harper and I were in marriage counseling twice a week. Maddie was back home, sleeping in her own room, surrounded by the built-in bookshelves I'd crafted with my own hands. Chase had left Dallas after his fitness business collapsed, his reputation destroyed by the revelation of his predatory behavior. Harper had to work to rebuild trust, not just with me, but with our daughter, our neighbors, our friends. It was slow, painful work, but she did it without complaint. She'd learned the hard way that some mistakes can't be undone, only forgiven. As for me, I learned that sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction. It's letting people destroy themselves while you stand back and watch. Trust, once broken, is hard to rebuild. But it's not impossible. And sometimes, that's enough.